Welcome to the first official lesson in the 52 Life Lessons series. This isn't just another self-help list of quotes or motivational fluff. It's a year-long deep dive into real-world insights that drive personal and professional transformation. Of all the lessons on the list, one stands above the rest. Mindset isn't just important, it's everything. Like muscles, mindset needs to be trained every single day. With all the talk about mindset, this might sound obvious. Yes, mindset's important. But trust me, what I'm talking about goes beyond the meme-filled positivity pep talks that you're going to find on social media. Think positive. Look at life through rose-colored lenses. That's not what this is about. I'm not here to serve up toxic positivity or to pretend that life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. You've heard all that crap before. You know it's not true. And it's not what you need to heal, to grow, to thrive. My recent personal experiences with the downside of a negative mindset spiral and the subsequently challenging and long road to recovery that followed, that adds a deeply emotional note to the kickoff lesson in this series. Now, if you want a bit more context into the recent journey I've been on, please read my LinkedIn post that I posted on Mental Health Week. I'll put that in the show notes. But what you and really all humans need is the real work of mindset, not platitudes. The kind that rewires your brain, reshapes your identity, reclaims lost capacity, and unlocks greater potential in you. The kind of mindset that takes focused effort, is often messy, and definitely gets you out of your side of your comfort zone on a regular basis, if not daily. Now, if this kind of work seems overwhelming or you're not ready, that's okay. There were times when I wasn't ready to face a challenge or do the work. The thing I came to realize is that no matter how long you kick that can down the road, you eventually need to do the work because challenges don't go away. If you're facing challenges, you've known about them for a while, there's no time like the present to take action. Or at least listen to the rest of the episode and see what stands out differently. Perhaps it inspires you to take action. If so, awesome. So if you're still with me, let's get into it. Now, there's a hidden cost to ignoring mindset. People don't typically have a knowledge problem. They have an application problem. They know what to do, they're just not doing it. And the gap between knowing and doing, that's almost always mindset. Mindset, think of it as that invisible operating system that's running in your life. If outdated, cluttered with limiting beliefs, or infected by fear and self-doubt, it won't matter how smart or skilled you are. You'll keep hitting that same wall. I know this because I lived it for decades. I mentioned earlier about the that wasn't really a breakdown I had, but it was, I hit a bit of a rock bottom, and that breakdown became my breakthrough. As an elite athlete, I knew about mindset. As a trainer, a performance coach, I thought I had my mindset dialed in. I taught it. I lived it. I wrote a book about it called The Fitness Curveball, where I laid out 4 foundational pillars of performance. Guess which one came first? Mindset. But then life threw me a series of wicked curveballs that buckled my knees. A global pandemic, a business closure, several life-altering health issues, career change, financial stress, the death of a parent, relationship challenges, all of that compressed into a very short time frame. And to be honest, any one of them on their own, or maybe even a couple of them on their own, probably would have been fine. But it felt like a relentless storm. Lots of reasons I didn't get out of it sooner. Asking for help is a big one of them. But what made it worse, I found, was actually my strengths. Discipline, independence, the perseverance mindset. Those actually became liabilities because I took them to the extreme. I was too proud to ask for help, too stuck in my head to see the spiral I was in, too invested in my ego, too focused on fear of how other people might judge me. too tied to identity labels that I'd branded myself with, and too attached to a misguided belief that I had to fix it alone. That delay in asking for help cost me so much time, energy, and joy. Eventually, I just hit a wall. And thankfully, from that breakdown came a pretty wonderful breakthrough. Now, a year ago, I wouldn't have called it that. Would have dropped a few F-bombs and been really frustrated and angry. I'm at the point now where I can look back and see the growth journey that I went through and the challenges and how to overcome that. And once I finally asked for help and started talking about the challenges, things started to improve. I started using the very tools that I had taught others and I'd seen work thousands of times. I stripped away layers of ego I was wrapped up in. I interrogated stories I'd believed about myself and others. I began rewiring my brain and rebuilding from the inside out. It was slow, imperfect, but being consistent with that work and that commitment to consistency, I truly believe was what saved me. So here's a bit more about why mindset is the engine behind everything. Mindset isn't just about being positive. Thinking that you have to be positive is probably one of the most dangerous mindset beliefs out there, or that you have to always be positive, because positivity is not where we want to go. Toxic positivity is not looking at the challenges, whereas mindset isn't about ignoring those challenges. It's about choosing to see them through a different lens. Mindset is the filter through which you see the world. It shapes what you notice, how you interpret challenges, what you believe is possible, the actions you take, the outcomes you experience, and how you, and this is most important, how you understand and learn from those outcomes. It's the primary starting point for the circle of success or distress. I wrote about this in my book, The Fitness Curveball, and work with coaching clients on it. Essentially, here's how the loop works. Thoughts lead to perceptions. Perceptions lead to actions. Actions lead to outcomes. Those outcomes feed back on the thoughts to either reinforce or contradict them. As this circle continues, thoughts turn into beliefs, perceptions into attitudes, actions into habits, and outcomes become patterns of results. Now, when this loop is unconscious, it becomes your default mode. If that mode is distress, you're reinforcing a spiral you don't see. Improving mindset doesn't mean eliminating or ignoring the negative. That's toxic positivity and avoidance. A strong mindset comes from recognizing negative thoughts, people, negative circumstances, and choosing to find the positivity, the growth, the opportunity in that moment and carrying it forward with you and to make you and those around you just better. This requires deep awareness of yourself, your surroundings, and the conscious willingness to face challenge and discomfort. We don't build these skills without practice. And here's how you can do that through identifying your circles of distress and turning them into circles of success. Circles of distress don't start out as catastrophes. They start as minor frustrations, small doubts, lingering negative thoughts you ignore. Over time, those thoughts form patterns. Patterns become beliefs. Beliefs silently write your identity. I've seen it in myself and thousands of clients. Smart, capable people stuck in, not because they lacked ambition, but because their mindset was quietly sabotaging every attempt to grow. Many times, people aren't even aware of the impact that their mindset is having on their outcomes. They're constantly running the same internal script, and it becomes, as I said before, their default identity. Now, if you said things about yourself, like some of the things I'll say, or things like, I'm just not good at that. No matter what I do, nothing changes. I always mess up. Why even bother? That's just the way I am. Or if I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all. These sum up the internal monologue in your head. These aren't truths. They're lies we've repeated so often They feel true emotionally, logically. The more we repeat them, the more real they become. That's the power of mindset. For better or worse, you're in control of it, whether you realize it or not. Let's talk about how we break that loop or reverse the loop and train your mindset. Now, first, it's really important to recognize that mindset isn't a fixed trait. It's a daily practice in multiple areas of your life. If you're familiar with Carol Dweck, her groundbreaking book, Mindset, is fantastic. Definitely go pick it up if you haven't read it. Carol Dweck says it's common to have different mindsets in different areas of life. And you could have a growth mindset at work, but a fixed mindset about money, relationships, or fitness. I had a strong growth mindset about many areas of my life, my health, fitness, my business. I taught this stuff. I helped thousands of other people improve their own mindsets. Yet all this outward facing growth mindset expression masked the fact that I had a deeply negative and fixed mindset about my own self-worth. I was oblivious to it for so long until recent challenges stacked on top of each other that it literally broke me down to the point where I had to admit that that was a factor holding me back, not just in those challenging times, but for decades before that. I'd accomplished lots of great things in my life, things that I'm very proud of. It was almost despite that, because I had this negative or fixed mindset about myself. It wasn't until I was forced to recognize and admit and to do the work to shift this embedded mindset that things started to change. The most important insight that I've taken from Dr. Dweck's research is that a growth mindset is overwhelmingly associated with long-term success and well-being. Anyone at any age, any stage of life, or any circumstance has the power to shift their mindset from a fixed to a growth mindset. So in other words, you are in control of moving from a circle of distress to a circle of success in any area of your life. Being aware of which circle you're in is important. Sometimes, as a colleague of mine likes to say, sometimes it's hard to read the label when you're inside the bottle. Getting external help can point out those circles in your life. Following are 5 specific actions to shift your mindset, followed by 3 fundamental strategies that I believe help sustain mindset changes and to establish a foundation for long-term happiness and well-being, as well as performance. So here are the 5 steps to shift from a fixed to a growth mindset. Number 1, become aware of your self-talk. Start noticing the automatic thoughts you have when you're faced with challenges, setbacks, or feedback. Ask yourself, would I say that to someone I care about? Because often the thoughts we have in our head are most cruel to ourselves. We would never say that to someone we cared about, yet we say it to ourselves all the time. So awareness is the first step towards change. Write it down. Number 2, shift your focus from outcome to effort. Instead of asking, did I win? Ask, did I grow? What did I learn? Celebrate effort, progress, learning, not just the results. Now, this might sound all, out there and, oh, it's so positive of you, but I want to win. Yeah, we all want to win. But when winning becomes more important than learning and growing, that's an issue. And when winning becomes part of we need that win to feel good about ourselves, that's the problem. So by shifting that focus, we start to rewire our brain to value persistence, curiosity, effort, things that start to stack the deck in our favor. And number 3, replace judgment with curiosity. The fixed mindset says, I failed. The growth mindset asks, well, that didn't work out. What can I learn from this so that I can avoid it in the future? Curiosity turns failure into feedback and opens the door to improvement. When we're focused on, I failed and it's on me, it's hard to see those lessons. So being able to have these 5 factors. So that was number 3. Number 1, be aware of your self-talk. Number 2, shift focus from outcome to effort. Number 3, replace judgment with curiosity. Number 4, embrace the power of what we call yet. So language matters. We've talked about language a few times already. When you say, I'm not good at this, shift it to, I'm not good at this yet, or I haven't practiced enough to be good at it. That tiny word creates space for possibility and growth. Number 5, surround yourself with growth-minded people. Mindsets are contagious. You've probably heard the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Surround yourself with people who reflect your best self, not your worst fears. Hang out with people who lift you up, challenge you, inspire you, and excite you to learn and grow. Your environment shapes your identity and it fuels your momentum. So cultivate that environment on purpose. The physical environment, as well as the people who are in that environment. These sound simple on the surface. Self-talk, outcome, shift from outcome to effort, judgment to curiosity, embrace the power of yet, surround yourself with growth-minded people. You've probably heard a lot of these before. But these steps take daily attention, intention, practice. In other words, you have to train your mindset like your future depends on it. Because it does. Most people make this change process harder than it needs to be. You don't have to overhaul every aspect of your life. Start with a few foundational factors that set the stage for everything else. Here are 3 fundamental strategies to build your mindset foundation. You might think these strategies are unrelated to the tactical and daily mindset challenges that you're facing, but from training and coaching thousands of people over the past 30 years, I've found these fundamental actions are gateway actions to change. It amazes me how quickly and effectively life in general starts to fall into place for people when they're consistent with these foundational practices. If you know my background, you're not going to be surprised by number 1, move your body. Daily exercise triggers happy hormones. It also increases resilience, focus, and emotional regulation. They've done studies that exercise is more effective in clinical trials than antidepressants. Yet, one of the first things to go when people aren't feeling well is their movement. And I'm not saying you need to go out and train like a Navy SEAL when you're feeling down, but move your body. Moving your body is critical. It doesn't really matter what type of exercise you do, whether it's cardio, strength, mobility, as long as you do it correctly, you do it consistently, and you do it progressively, so you challenge yourself over time. Now, this is where I started my career, and I have endless tools and resources. If you want extra help in this area, again, reach out with questions. So number 1, move your body. And again, these are 3 foundational factors that I think are going to be, well, not that I think, that I know are going to be effective when you start doing them consistently, correctly, and progressively. Number 2, protect your sleep. Sleep is by far the most underrated high-performance tool you have. Ideally, aim for 8 hours a night with at least a couple hours before midnight. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm a night owl, I'll stay up, which is fine if you can sleep in the morning and get your rest. However, for most people, the hours that you get sleep before midnight are some of your most restful, mentally, physically. And I often said to clients, if you could only sleep for 4 hours, do the 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is probably a good window, or even 9 to 1, something like that. But play around with it. And again, don't trust me. Test it out. I often do a 2-week sleep challenge for clients. I'll say, hey, for the next 2 weeks, do your 8 hours a night, get to sleep by 10 o'clock. If at the end of 2 weeks, you don't feel amazing, go back to doing what you're doing. But be consistent with it, because it can take up to a week to recover from a sleep deficit. So take the 2-week sleep challenge, try it out, and let me know what you think. But, and again, in my book, I dedicated an entire section in the second pillar, habits, on the importance of sleep and the key strategies that help you optimize your sleep hygiene, your sleep performance. You can check it out on Amazon. Number 3. So we've got move your body, we've got protect your sleep. The third foundational habit or action is reflective journaling. And this is something that I neglected for years. And in fact, if you asked me even a year or two ago about this, I probably wouldn't have put it in the top 3. Yet it was one of the major factors that helped me over these challenges I've had recently. I noticed the impact that it had so quickly because it gets what's up here out on paper or digitally. With reflective journaling, you ask yourself at the most fundamental level, what did I learn today? What did I handle well? What will I do differently tomorrow? Now, pair that with 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for, and you've got an amazing, what I call, brain reset button. So think about, and this could be like it doesn't have to take hours to do. 5 minutes at the end of the day to say, what did I learn today? What did I handle well? What will I do differently tomorrow? And 2 or 3 things I'm grateful for. Now, journaling is where you can accelerate your ability to recognize, reinforce, and internalize the 5 steps that I mentioned earlier that shift you from a fixed to a growth mindset. We learn from reflecting on our experience. And I can't remember who said that originally, maybe Francis Bacon or something like that. They obviously reflected on it a little bit. But the idea is that we can have all these experiences and we'll often repeat the same mistakes over and over again because we're not stepping back from the fray, we'll call it, and reflecting on what we're learning. Reflecting on that experience and what it means to us and how we're going to use those experiences to get better and improve. And when you start to add this habit of reflection in, ideally on a daily basis, or what I call micro reflections are multiple times a day. You walk out of a meeting. What did I learn from the meeting? What did I handle well? What will I do differently in the next meeting? Things like that. If those 3 simple questions are rocket fuel for your learning and your improvement and your awareness. Remember, one of the things I mentioned for the 5 steps, the first one was become aware of your self-talk. Awareness is critical. And unless we're taking a moment to reflect, we're not training our brain to be aware of these. A key bonus to the journaling process is that it creates space to think deeply about how the actions you're taking and the challenges you're facing relate to what you really want. Another exercise I often have clients do, and I've done it myself, and it's very powerful, is writing down your ideal future vision. By doing that, you can start to connect and align your daily reflections with your future aspirations. Am I moving in the direction I want to? Or am I just spinning my wheels and doing stuff, but not really moving the needle on where I want to get to? Clarifying this vision allows you to write about and play out what I call the success movie in your mind. And to do that each day. By seeing, feeling, and experiencing that future vision in your mind, it's much easier to go out and start living it. And again, I neglected this for so long. So I also started using reflective journaling to help me visualize and anticipate things that could go wrong and to plan my response so that even those hiccups turned into positives. Because plans are great, but things rarely go exactly as planned. I started using this for sales calls that I was making, for client coaching sessions and consultations. If I knew a situation was going to come up, I'd plan for it. What could go right? How do I want it to go? What's my ideal vision? And start mapping those things out. And again, I want to be very clear on this. It doesn't have to take hours to do. It can be as simple as 5 minutes or 1 minute at a few points throughout the day. just start to build that habit, even if it's only a minute or two. Now, up until now, we've been talking about your mindset and improving your ability. This work of mindset that we're talking about isn't just about you. Shifting your mindset is also a smart leadership strategy. I've seen this firsthand as well, doing leadership development, executive coaching, team effectiveness. Once a leader shifts their mindset, you see the ripple effects across their entire team. Morale improves, productivity increases, culture starts to transform. The bottom line shifts up and to the right. Because when your mindset is aligned, everything else gets easier and more effective. Yet most companies focus only on the surface level leadership skills and tactics instead of cultivating the strategic mindset that fuels great leadership. Now, this oversight negatively impacts people, teams, and companies. So this is your opportunity to create a positive leadership cycle through your own personal mindset shift. A lot of times leaders think they're just working in their silo. Oh, this is my stuff to deal with. But we're a whole human. We bring our whole selves to work. We bring our whole selves home at the end of the day. So if work stuff is bothering us, it impacts our home life. If home stuff's bothering us, it impacts our work. Doing the work of mindset is also the work of leadership. Let's get practical and let's start to take the first step. So remember, you don't need to transform overnight. Just start to take that first step. So here's a little 3-step challenge for you. Number 1, get honest with yourself. What mindset are you currently operating from? In which areas of your life? Where do you have a growth mindset? Where do you have a fixed mindset? Are you operating from a victim mentality? Where are you empowered? Start to reflect on these. Add that into your journal. A little exercise you can do right now. Once you've done that, get clear. How do you want to show up? What needs to change to move from where you are now to where you want to be? Again, write it down. Number 3, get moving. Pick one mindset building action that you feel is going to make the biggest impact for you and do it today, not tomorrow, today. At least make that first action to write down what you're going to do in black and white on a piece of paper, put it on your computer monitor, on your bathroom mirror, whatever you want to do so that you'll see it and you'll take action on it. Finally, please remember that you're not alone. You have a support system. And if you can see the path, or if you can't see the path and you want help putting it into action, please reach out. I would love to help. And I'll reiterate, I did not reach out for so long because I thought I had to do it all myself. I know how much, from personal experience, how mindset matters. I've seen it with myself. I've seen it with thousands of clients over the years. Every day, in every situation, you have a choice on how you show up with your mindset. I hope this has been helpful. Please reach out. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I look forward to connecting with you soon. That wraps up another episode of the Working Well podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Now, which guests or topics would you like to see featured on the show? Message me through LinkedIn or on the contact page of timborys.com with your ideas. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Tim Borys with Fresh Wellness Group, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.